Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is MacNN. One more thing, and he's Malcolm Owen. Malcolm, hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello. It's going well so far,
Hello?
isn't it? Right. This could be a long, long
Oh,
day.
there you yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry about
Oh,
this. This is a prelude to what's going to be happening later, I'm going to assume.
are you promming ahead there to something I don't know about?
Yeah, it's probably for the thingy of the week, but we'll get to that later. But I expect this podcast to be extremely horrible in terms of recording for me, at least.
Okay, well, let's just sell it here. Well, it's going to be blissful on my side. It's that balanced. Anyway, here we are, chatting away over the old computers, and we all spend an awful lot of time in front of these screens. We all think we know what we're doing. Apparently, quite a lot of us are wrong. There's this thing from Intel Security, who have... Actually, I'm not totally sure of the extent of this, but they've done a survey of some number of people about ads. Those ads that pop up and say, click here to lose weight. And you and I go, yeah, right. And apparently 88% of people surveyed said, yeah, we go, yeah, right, this is nonsense / a scam. But they click anyway.
Well, Intel Security, so the security arm of Intel, funnily enough, they released their findings in a study called Online Security Diet. You are what you click. Do you see what they did there?
I quite like that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And all they did was that they studied American attitudes towards dieting clickbait between the ages of 21 and 54. The highlights, if you want to call it, of the report include the fact that 61% of survey respondents clicked on a promotional link that offers a diet program. 57% would most likely click on a promotional link for a diet program before the summer starts. And 37% of respondents are more likely to click on one offering dietary tips featured or endorsing a celebrity.
Because celebrities know this stuff. You've got to be fair there. Well, actually, I'm being sarcastic, but have you seen celebrities? They must be on Uber diets, for the way most of them are.
Now, I don't think it's a case of them being on Uber diets. I think it's a case of them being on a diet and doing exercise and having lots of free time to be able to do that.
We are probably going to end up saying, don't trust an ad from a company you've never heard of. But that's just leaving the market to the biggies like Amazon and things. Are scammers, in their attempt to get money out of us, actually bad for general business?
Probably.
Let's move on to something really technical. I honestly don't know whether I'm interested in this at all, but this is one of these cases where I know from your experience you are likely to know much more about it than me. The suggestion that the next iPhone will have wireless charging. I think every new iPhone is said to have every new thing until the day it comes out, and then it doesn't, and people complain that Apple haven't added something they never said they would. So I've been putting down wireless charging as one of those. No, we'll get it. We won't. Fine. But there does actually seem to be a little bit of evidence, and I like evidence. What's the story? What's the facts?
It appears that over the last 4 months or so, Apple has hired 2 former engineers from a startup called Ubeam. I believe Ubeam is to do with wireless charging, at least, at a distance. So instead of having a normal wireless charging system where you have to put your device on top of a pad, instead you can have your device a distance away, maybe up to 3 feet away. So let's say if you had your phone in your pocket and you walked into a well-known chain of coffee shops, I don't know, and you sat down for a while, you could have your phone charging while it's in the pocket without you having to go to a wireless charging unit, hypothetically.
Now, you see, I'm really split there. I didn't realise that's what Ubeam did. I assumed wireless meant just pop it on your table or whatever. I'm more intrigued.
Well, there's various things that are out there, things like near-field magnetic resonance, and someone thinks they can use ultrasound waves to do the same thing, and...
Whoa, ultrasound. Charge while checking in with the state of your baby.
Let's go with that. But the main thing here is apparently Apple is looking into how can people charge their phone up without having to get a lightning cable and jam it into the port and potentially breaking it. Because as we know, every time you put something into a port, there's always this tiny chance that it'll break off or something like that will horrifically happen. If you can eliminate the number of times someone has to shove something into something and cause that wear and tear, the more likely the device is going to last for a bit longer, or at least the component in question. So if you have wireless charging on a phone, you're not having to do that just to charge it, in terms of just jamming the jack into the port or whatever.
Um, One reason I knew you'd know is because there's obviously technical element to it, and demonstrably you know this, but also because I assume there's an Android phone or three that have wireless charging. Is it quite common with Android anywhere?
The models don't immediately come to mind, but I'm pretty sure some of the flagship models in the last few years have added wireless charging by default. In some cases, it's been a case of actually buying a case or a change of a battery cover to enable wireless charging.
Actually, now you've said it, I do remember seeing TV ads for some phone. I think a Samsung. I'm not sure about how great Wi-Fi charging, wireless charging is. And just as they showed it, there was a little line at the bottom saying "sequences shortened," that kind of thing. Um, I honestly can't remember which phone it was, but it doesn't seem to me that it's a common thing. I assumed it would be there, but do Android users not use it much? Is it not a big deal?
Well, it's more a case of if you have it on the phone and you can get a charger that's not entirely scarily expensive, you're more likely to use it. But generally speaking, no one really uses it because of that whole hurdle of having to get the charger and having to have a phone that has wireless charging in it or getting a case for it and then having to deal with the horribles of having this stupid case when you want to use a different case that has Hello Kitty or whatever branding on it.
Nothing wrong with Hello Kitty. Okay, I see your point. And yet, you know, when Apple does it, if they do, most of that will go away because it will be in all iPhones if it's in any. It'll fit all cases if it fits any. Interesting. So funny how Apple can come late to something and yet actually popularize it. Anyway, um, thinking of what Apple does and how it does push the technology through. Pushing technology is what's going on this week with Google. Google's having its I/O conference this very week. I'm curious, though. Forget what goes on at this year's Google I/O in particular. Malcolm, you followed shows like this. I have a slightly sarcastic opinion of shows, and I want to know where Google I/O falls in the kind of scale. From at the high end, Apple's WWDC, where it's not actually for products, but they'll mention a load of products, and they will all be released, sometimes that day. Then at the other end of the scale, you have the Consumer Electronics Show, trademark, in January, whatever it is, in which thousands of products are announced, and none of them ever ship. Where does Google I/O fall in that?
It's I would have to say it's leaning more towards WWDC than CES. Google I/O is Google's developer conference, so it's similar to WWDC in that respect. You get your main updates to Android that are going to be coming at some point in the future announced there as well. Typically, you're going to wait quite a few months, if not over a year, before you actually see those getting onto the majority of handsets, or at least the majority of new handsets. So anything they announce there, you're not going to see for quite some time, which you could say that's similar to any iOS announcements that appear at WWDC. You also have it's less physical device announcements and more software announcements and concept announcements. So you have things like the announcement of Android Wear, so the smartwatch platform, changes to Chromebooks, and quite a few other things like that you'd expect. I mean, they even announced Google Cardboard at one of the events.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Google Cloud, but I didn't realise something. Or perhaps I'm wrong, but you just made me think it. Google I/O is an annual thing. They announce new features to Android. Does that mean that Android updates are, well, they're announced annually, the way Apple does iOS. Apple has this thing that when they say it's coming out, it's on every phone. And Android has this thing that it will ripple through over an incredibly long time. But are the announcements annual for Android as well?
Generally speaking, yeah, at least the major items that you add to Android. Sometimes there's been some mid-cycle changes that they put in, but generally speaking, it's about annual.
But in principle, then, whatever Google talks about in any given year, by the time it comes back the next year, it's done it. And I think that's pretty good.
Also, remember that it's not just Android stuff. Google has this Google I/O app, which it uses for people who are visiting to see what's happening on the schedule, to be able to navigate around the event, to be able to watch streams of the keynote and other items that are going on there. And this year they finally brought it to iOS. So if you have an iPhone, or if you can be bothered looking at the zoomed in version on an iPad, you can download it and look at it through there. It's also all available through the Google I/O website as well. So it's nice that they've added the iOS element this year.
Truly did not know there was an iOS app for this, and I'm drawn to it a little tiny bit. Only a bit. I've watched Apple's keynotes. Will I watch Google's through the years as well? Nah. But other apps, then, you made that connection in my mind there. There was an app release this week, an update to SoundHound. I'm not quite sure how to describe this. SoundHound is always the one that isn't Shazam. I think it does the same thing of identifying music. It has the benefit that you can hum a tune into it, and in theory it will work it out. It's never worked for me, but I feel that's a reflection on my humming. And now, as of this week, I can apparently say to it, okay, Hound, what do you think I'm humming? Or do we need something like Siri in something like SoundHound? Is this the future?
Well, I'm puzzled as to why this exists. I mean, if I go into Google Voice Search, there's an option there to be eventually to be able to to identify a song just by holding the phone near the speaker and hoping it picks it up. So that's in Voice Search for Google anyway. Why isn't there anything like that in Siri?
Actually, yeah, there is. Siri ties into Jamba. You can say, "Oi, Siri, what's this song?" And it will just go off and do its doing. Sweet. I'm intrigued by one word there that you threw in. Eventually, is it difficult to get to through Google now?
It's more a case of you started off, and then if it doesn't recognise that you're speaking directly to it, it's going to expect a different kind of input. So it comes up with the option of a little button on the screen that you press, and it's got a little music icon, and that's what triggers it. So it gives you you have to wait a few seconds after triggering it to be able to start doing the music listening to thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, am I? I keep finding, essentially, that I'm humming a tune. I'm in a supermarket or something, and I'm liking something, and only as it's coming to end am I conscious that I'm doing this, and I struggle to get Shazam out to type it, and I usually miss. So choosing to add a few seconds to it. Well, maybe that's the thing with SoundHound. Maybe it is a pixel faster to be able to say, "Oi, SoundHound, what's this all about then?" Tell me about this, though. New to MacNN.com. Writer Amber Neely has this new series called Should You Subscribe? Now, actually, I'm really interested in this because I've ended up subscribing to all sorts of things, and I don't know how that happened. Malcolm, are you in the same position? Do you cough out a lot of money every month to services?
I'd have to say yes. I do pay a fair bit towards subscription services.
Yeah, we're not talking gas and electricity here. We're talking, shall we say, fully optional services that help our computing assistant life kind of thing. That sort of stuff.
In essential, yes.
Right, stuff that we could in fact drop then.
Yeah.
So I would guess that's the point of Amber's series, isn't it? Should you drop rather than should you subscribe? I mean, this first one out, she's actually looking at a product called Pandora One, which I know to you and I in the UK. I mean, I'm interested in her arguments, and she's written really well. It's a very persuasive piece arguing the pros and cons. We can't do anything about it because Pandora isn't available in the UK. So I'm more looking forward to what she comes on to next. But this is a point, I think. How do we get to this stage where we're suddenly paying for so many things? I mean, how many? What have you got? I have Netflix, Text Expander. I've had Adobe Creative Cloud for a bit. What else is there? Oh, Apple Music, Sky, broadband internet. We're getting off the point there, but that's about 5 things, and I don't know when they all began. How many are you paying for?
Oh, well, off the top of my head, there is Google Play Music All Access because I'm still waiting for YouTube Red to happen on it. Apple Music.
Are there any games subscription things going on?
Not currently. I used to subscribe to EVE Online and World of Warcraft and a few others, but I moved away from them because I realised how much of a time sink they are.
I don't even know what EVE Online is, so I'll just stay away from that.
It is probably best if you stay away from it. It is basically a spaceship thing, but without as much of the excitement and with added spreadsheets.
Okay.
I'm not
that
kidding. It is Microsoft Excel in space. It is so.
Yeah, I think, let's park that. While you count up the rest of this amazing number of subscription services. I thought I was bad.
Let's see. I also use Sky Go, but someone else is paying for that, and I'm just jumping on top of it.
Legitimately, obviously.
Yeah,
That's not a question.
Yeah, completely legitimately. With a subscription service, generally speaking, it's got to be legitimate, especially with Sky Go, because you got to jump through a few hurdles just to set it up. Now TV is being used downstairs instead of Sky by the person I'm living with, so we do have quite a few different things.
When did it all happen, though? What was the first thing we paid for, and when will it end?
No idea.
Listen, I really enjoyed Amber's piece, and I like the start of the series. I believe it's an occasional series, so we'll be looking out for the next one. I have no clue what she's going to next, but it'd be very nice if you covered Netflix. That'd be really, I might ask her if she could please examine Netflix for me.
Well, actually, that's going to be an interesting one to take on because there's going to be a variation of service around the world. What we have on Netflix is different to what the US has on Netflix, and is different to Netflix services in different regions just from licensing. So there's going to be that as a bit of a difference between everything.
Good point. I remember hearing a lot of fuss that Doctor Who was coming off Netflix. I was quite annoyed because I was enjoying a David Tennant season. I thought, I've only just started it. But if you're in the UK, you've still got it.
And then like I've already said, with Google Play Music All Access, if you have the subscription in the US, you have that alongside YouTube Red automatically, which basically allows you to watch YouTube videos without the annoying advertising. And that's not over here yet. You have the music element, you don't have the non-YouTube advertising section.
I've actually become much more of a YouTube user since I got Apple TV in the living room. But I don't get pestered. Well, you don't get any... you get pre-roll ads on that. You don't get any popovers on the videos on Apple TV. So I'm all right with that. It's the popovers. I don't mind. Skip this ad in 4 seconds. 3, 2, skip. I'm fine with this. It's the popovers I hate. But, I didn't even realise actually that's what YouTube Red does. Now I'm rooting for it to come as well. Or let's pile work on Amber. Ask her to look at that as well. Yeah, get her to do all the work, pay all the subscriptions, see what it's like, and we just pick whatever she says. Does that work?
Yeah, that kind of works.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. At some point, I should probably make Netflix my thingy of the week, the way I'm using it. Such a great deal at times. I've told you before, I'm working through Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, also The Good Wife, just completing Lie to Me again for it. What's your thingy of the week? Oh, no, wait a minute. This is the thing you started off with, isn't it? The slightly peculiar, made me worry whether you were there or not kind of thing. What's this mysterious thingy of the week?
Okay, it's actually a non-thingy of the week, or a don't get this thingy of the week, or whatever you want to call it, a warning, if you will. For the last couple of years, I've been using fairly expensive to buy Razer Black Shark headphones, and these are gaming. This is basically a gaming headset, but done as if you are someone who's on a B-52 or whatever. It's a headset that looks like you are talking to air traffic control. It has lots of metal. It's very, very chunky and heavy and hard wearing, and I've used 2 of them in the last 4 years. The first one sounded brilliant. It cable had a little bit of a problem at one specific point where the microphone went, and then the rest of the audio went, and I had to buy another one. And this week the same thing has happened. Previously, the microphone element has died, and over the weekend, the rest of the audio has now got to a point where I can actually turn the audio on and off by moving my head. So I've already put in an order with Amazon on Sunday, and they said that they were going to be dispatching it on the Wednesday. And yeah, they still haven't really sent it yet. So instead of having to rely on headphones that I bought from the corner shop, and by headphones I mean iAudio earphones, and by iAudio I also mean lowercase I, capital A, Udio, because that's a thing. It says dynamic stereo sound, and it's got pictures of an iPad, an iPod, the iPod Mini, and an iPhone there as well. High quality sound, ultra comfortable earpieces. Both of those are complete lies.
Allegedly.
No,
Further testing required.
seriously, there is no. I cannot hear any bass at all in these earphones, and these hurt like heck after about 5 hours.
Ooh.
Heck, these hurt after an hour. Since we've started recording this podcast, I've had these in, and these already hurt, so...
That would be a reason to stop.
So
actually,
neither high quality nor ultra comfortable. There's no cushioning on them. But then again, I spent a whole £1 on them.
okay. I was in my head, I'm trying to work out what that is in dollars, and I haven't a clue. It's 70 pence? So 70 pence, 70 cents, something like that, or the other way around.
It's the other way around.
But shall we say, not a lot. Listen, I'm concerned, though, about pain in your ears. People have said I've caused pain in their ears. I didn't realise what they meant now. Would you like to just say goodbye, rip those headphones off, and get out of town?
I would, but we have to deal with one little bit of leftover stuff.
I'm willing to do my own thingy of the week.
No, go ahead. I want to listen to this, even though it may be painful.
Okay, I've got to try to make it entertaining.
No, just do what you do.
Okay. My thingy of the week is Hazel 4. Malcolm, I know you've got a Mac Mini for ages. Are you even aware of what Hazel is?
Nope.
Oh, interesting. It's a weird one. It's been around for a very long time. It's obviously 4 versions, but a lot of years. Usually you find with things that people, if they're very good, maybe people have got them and love them, or maybe they haven't heard them at all. With Hazel, there is the group that's never heard of them. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello.
Then there is the group that loves it, which would generally be everybody who uses it, I promise. But that same group, and I'm in that group, forgets that we've got it. Because once you've set something up, Hazel just does it. It's supposed to be for just kind of watching a Mac and organising things. That sounds so naff. Let me give you an example. When I create an invoice, I write an invoice in Pages, and I save it as a PDF to my desktop. Before I email it off to the client, Hazel sees that file, copies it to Evernote, copies it to Dropbox, and emails off, other things I have to do with my business for it before I've even come out of Pages, gone to the desktop, and begun to drag it to mail. It keeps a constant, vigilant watch, and it follows rules. Also, if I do a lot of screen grabbing for MacNN, I will take 30 or 40 shots of a piece of software, and I might use 5 or 6 of them. If I leave the rest on the desktop, well, then the next morning it'll take them all away and pop them in a thing called unfiled screenshots, just in case I've missed them. And I'll look through it occasionally and think, nah, don't need them, and off it goes. It will delete for me if something's been in the trash for too long, as by what I call too long. It'll tell me it's going to do it, but then it's done it. Version 4 expands on the rules you've got. It gives you extra little settings that you can check out. And also, a thing I really like, it lets you preview. So that invoice thing, for example, it works if I file the invoice to the desktop with a very specific type of name. If I don't, and I've sometimes made a mistake, and I'll be sitting there thinking Hazel isn't doing anything, I can go into Hazel and I can preview the rules, and it will tell me which files on my desktop it would work on, for example. It just, since you're mucking around sometimes with deleting things, it's really handy to be able to just try it out quietly before you see what it is. I feel like I'm enthusing about Hazel in almost an empty way. I mean, it's like a barrage of things it does, but nothing concrete. It's one of these where you get it to do one particular job, and then you find you do more and more with it. But again, you forget it's been running on my Mac for 5 years, something like that, and I must have used it every other day, but without actually opening Hazel to do it. So I love it. I forget about it. I'm re-examining the new version 4 for MacNN, and version 4 is $32, unless you have a previous version, in which case there's some ridiculously low upgrade price of something like, I think it's $10. It's an American company, so all prices are in dollars, but it is nothing for what it does. And Malcolm, how did that fit on the worth the pain in my ears scale? Are you tempted to buy Hazel?
It sounds like a decent thing. I haven't really thought about any sort of software-based automation. I should look into it, given the amount of stuff I do on the Mac. So, could be interesting to play around with.
Have a read of the review on MacNN.com. I think it'll tell you everything you need.
Sorry, what was that website again?
MacNN.com. It's been going for about 20 years now. I think it's catching on.
Ah, well, I'll certainly look into. Do you say MacNN.com?
MacNN, yes.
Ah, okay.
One thing, actually, you just reminded me, because things have come up before. You don't do any automation, really, I don't think,
No.
on your Mac. I wouldn't have expected me to, because it's a thing we have said before. If you put a lot of effort into automating something, that's great when it's working, but it's a lot of effort at the front. We should look at easy ways, starter ways, the little taster before you get into the drug of automating your Mac. I gotta say, I find it deeply satisfying to press 2 buttons and find all of my images resized the way I want and ready to upload and relabeled and all this. I love the whole invoicing thing. I'm more organized with invoicing because I know Hazel will take care of the filing thing in the background. I also use Keyboard Maestro for various things. We should look into this. I'm going to go look into this. Sorry. Shut up, William. Malcolm, pull those headphones out and go wait for Amazon to deliver your proper ones. Goodbye.
Goodbye.